Trees. Stories start at the root. Inside hearts, deep. To each its own history made possible by those who came before, looking at their own trees. Memories. Their community. Asking what could be, what should, what idea is large enough to fill this space to tie every root into a neat myriad of stories that build this trunk. This trunk is strong and sturdy and somehow planted into this city's concrete by the altruist hands of D. Frank Garland and the Pattersons. Their dream of how philanthropy will refine this home to so many. Home to the man from far away, dissatisfied that those like the love of his life were disenfranchised. How their passions became his legacy, an ongoing fight for education. Home to the woman who made her life here, full of an unrestricted love that she'd be too modest to admit, but what else for a place that brought her and her family such joy? Home to the hard-working couple who wanted children to experience the adventure they weren't able to frolic in fields of grass, make s'mores, carefree, see children in wonder. Home to such kindness, camaraderie, so much that it was gifted by a man even more beauty in the form of cherry blossom trees or renovations or history protections, because the people here give and give back. And as the narrative continues, this tree branching out to include the first voices of new people, new needs, like John Moore of the African American Community Fund or Anne Green, who both broke barriers, helping to make others feel advocated, feel that they too can make a difference and know that they aren't alone, that there are funds rooted in the same tragedy, in family, in gratitude and hope, and are just a few of the many chapters in this epic that stretches and breathes with the soft pants of children exhausted from playing in these streets. These chapters were written for everyone, by everyone, from those of rags to those of riches, for receivers to givers, those in between, those walking down our streets, waving, those since past, those yet to be born, their voices blending into the Dayton Philharmonic Symphony's limbs, painting visions on stage with DC, all connected to this 100-year tree, this never-ending story. As each life touched will last forever, as each year another seed is planted in the minds of new and budding philanthropists, dreamers, wanting to be a part of this country's second largest family of donors. Until every child receives an education, until every cure is found, until every passion is nurtured, until every family is comforted in loss, until every relief is provided, until every nook, every cranny, every part of this legacy is fulfilled, the hope that you, that me, that everyone can make the dreams of ourselves, but more importantly, the dreams of others come true. Because no matter where you are, where you've been, what you need, or your inspiration, some way, somehow, you are written in the story of the Dayton Foundation.
Welcome to the Dayton Foundation's Centennial Celebration virtual kickoff event, celebrating 100 years together from afar. I'm Megan Cooper.
And I'm James Brown, and we're so happy to be joining you from Carol Lawn Historical Park.
Before we get started, we want to recognize Sean Gardner for that amazing spoken word performance that he wrote especially for the Dayton Foundation and this Centennial Celebration event. Sean is a 2019 graduate of Stivers High School and currently attends The Ohio State University. Thank you, Sean.
We are pleased and honored to host this special program for the Dayton Foundation throughout this event. Now, we will share with you some remarkable stories of individuals who are making a difference in our community through charitable funds they have established at the foundation. We will also hear from Marva Cosby, chair of the foundation's governing board, and foundation president Mike Parks. Marva and Mike have a couple special announcements to launch the foundation's Centennial celebration, so stay tuned.
The first community foundation in the U.S. was established in 1914. 7 short years later, thoughtful leaders, including Dr. D. Frank Garland, John H. Patterson, and the Patterson family, created the Dayton Foundation right here. They believed that all citizens from every walk of life could make a contribution to the future of our community.
100 years later, people and families like yours have planted nearly 4,000 charitable foundation funds, the second highest number of funds at a community foundation in the country. I'm happy to say my family is one of those fund holders. Megan, I know yours is as well.
Yes, my husband and I, we have a charitable checking account. We're proud to be part of the foundation's family of donors.
And helping people like you and me in our charitable efforts to help others is what the Dayton Foundation is all about.
James, I think it's time to welcome our honorary host, Governing Board Chair Marva Cosby and President Mike Parks.
Thank you, Megan and James. We're delighted to have you with us on this momentous occasion. On behalf of the Dayton Foundation Governing Board, I am so pleased to welcome all of you to our program. So much has been accomplished in the greater Dayton area throughout the past 100 years, hasn't it, Mike?
Absolutely. And we'll share more about the Dayton Foundation's history in the months ahead. As we begin our second century of impact, we wish to thank our community and generations of donors, financial advisors, and nonprofit partners who have supported the Dayton Foundation and worked alongside us to make Greater Dayton even greater. As James mentioned, we are going to share with you some exciting announcements, so stay tuned.
That's exciting. We look forward to the news. But now, let's share the first of 4 short stories featuring foundation donors and the impact they've made through their gifts.
You know, nothing could have prepared our community for the challenges over the past couple years, starting with the devastation of the 2019 Memorial Day tornadoes, followed by the tragedy of the Oregon district shooting, to the unprecedented coronavirus pandemic. Together, though, we have combined resources to help those most in need. The Dayton Foundation stood with others at the forefront of the community's recovery following each challenge. By establishing separate charitable funds, the foundation provided a safe place for individuals to share their compassion and their grief through charitable gifts to assist individuals and families most impacted by these events.
We welcome Laura Mercer and Jean Hollahan to share more about the rebuilding efforts after the Memorial Day tornadoes.
Immediately following the tornado, we realized that so many people in the community wanted to do something to help. Certainly there was a lot of work to be done, you know, boots on the ground to get people rehoused and fed and that sort of thing. But another way to help was through donations. And the foundation realized that we were really the trusted institute for people to give donations. And we set up a fund, the Greater Dayton Disaster Relief Fund, in order to take donations that would help the people impacted by the tornadoes, help them recover and rebuild their lives. And then in August, we had the Dayton, Oregon district tragedy. And again, the Dayton Foundation realized that people wanted to donate money to help those victims. 100% of the funds that went into both of those healing efforts went to either the people impacted by the tornadoes or those victims of the Dayton, Oregon district shooting. We saw support not just from our own community, but nationwide and worldwide. People wanted to help, and we became the repository for those donations. I think one of the sweetest fundraisers, and one that shows you can be any age and be able to help people, is the story of Lucy and Louie and the work they did to really fundraise for the disaster fund.
We drew rainbows because we knew that after every storm there's always a rainbow, and we thought maybe if we drew pictures of rainbows and sold them, we could get more money to buy more things to help out more.
We didn't know about the Dayton Foundation when we had this idea. It took a quick search and everything we found on places we could donate to the tornado victims. It was the Dayton Foundation every time, and you had already thought ahead and set up this fund, and then we could get it to where the people need it the most and get it quickly.
It felt good because we helped out people that we didn't even really actually know, and it just felt good to know that we helped a lot of people.
It is amazing to know that we have such an organization like the Dayton Foundation to support our community. Ever since we took part in this and provided this, or since the kids provided the funding for the tornado relief, we have seen your name pop up everywhere. After the shooting victims, the tornadoes, when we go to any community-based space like Caroline Park here, we see your name everywhere. We know how active our money is being placed in our community, and we will continue to donate.
We knew how important it was for everyone who was donating to feel that they had a piece in the recovery and the healing of our community. And so there wasn't anything you could have asked of us that we would say no to. We said yes to everything. We supported the fundraising, we processed all the checks and the credit card gifts, and it was our part, because it's our community, in helping it recover and heal. We put together a collaborative effort of nonprofits that would work toward getting our community back on its feet after the tornado. So currently we have about 20 members of that long-term recovery group, and each one of them brings their special talents to the recovery. So if you're St. Vincent's de Paul, you've always worked on providing furniture to people, and that was their niche in the recovery. Catholic Social Services and Red Cross were our case management experts. Everybody brought something to the table. The Dayton Foundation continues to be on the executive committee leading that effort. We are fiscal sponsor for the recovery, so we're responsible for the funds that have been donated to the Greater Dayton Disaster Relief Fund and for their distribution to those agencies that are working on the recovery. This is not a short-term recovery. Households will recover in maybe 2 to 3 years, but in the long run, our community recovery, to recover the parks and the roads and everything else, that's going to take 5 to 10 years, and the Dayton Foundation is in it for the long haul. One of the stories we just had a couple of weeks ago is a family that owned a home that was totally destroyed by the tornado. This home had been in their family for, I think, 3 or 4 generations, passing from family to family to family, and they never thought they would ever be able to return to their family home. And just 2 weeks ago, we handed the keys over to this family who was able now to return to their family home, and actually the home was built better than it was when it was damaged by the tornado. So our model is rebuild better.
My name is Laura Mercer. I'm the Executive Director of the Miami Valley Long-Term Recovery Operations Group. This group was stood up the day after the tornadoes so that we could help the community recover from the damage. We're here today on a street called McCready that's in the old North Dayton neighborhood where a lot of the damage really hit home. And we had several houses on this street damaged, and we have so far worked on 1 on the corner, and then we have 4 more on this street that we either have completed already or, as you see behind us, we're still working on. We have an incredible asset in the Dayton Foundation. One of the things that they are phenomenally good at is understanding when there's a community need and setting up a fund immediately to allow people to immediately focus their resources and their donations and their energy so that we can use them for the highest and best good. When we have build teams that are willing to put in the work to do it, being able to access the funds to get them the materials to do the work is really critically important. And Dayton Foundation makes that really easy for us to do. I'd like to say to the community, thank you. All of your support, whether it's donating services or it's donating money and supporting our work through the Greater Dayton Disaster Relief Fund, that is so critical for us to be able to piece back our communities and to build back better.
We came together as a community collaboratively. We found each other's strength and leveraged it. We are becoming the model across the nation as to how to really recover from a disaster. And I think the Dayton community should be proud. The Dayton Foundation is proud to be a partner with the Dayton community and be able to show you how your donations have helped this community rebuild better.
The city of Dayton has been through some really tough times this past year and a half. And through each one of the crises that we have gone through, the Dayton Foundation has been one of the first calls, because I know people are going to want to make a difference, and they trust the Dayton Foundation to be the place where that difference can be made. You know, I'm so grateful. This community is resilient and gritty, and I am so thankful that the community helps itself and helps each other through these very difficult times. Congratulations, Dayton Foundation. We look forward to the next 100 years of impact into our community.
Hello, I'm Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Happy 100th anniversary to the Dayton Foundation. And thank you so very much for what you do for the Miami Valley. The Dayton Foundation is always there to help neighbors in need, and at times when they're most in need. During natural disasters, violent tragedies, even the current COVID-19 pandemic, you're there. The Dayton Foundation is a gift to the region. Fran, I wish you the very best in the next 100 years.
Like the story you just watched, there are thousands more stories of individuals, families, and organizations that have benefited one way or another from the acts of giving. The Dayton Foundation is the community's foundation for helping you help others here and around the world. Thank you for being a part of this remarkable history.
We wish to thank the organizations that have generously sponsored the Foundation's Centennial celebration.
Our Centennial presenting sponsor, PNC, lead sponsor, JP Morgan Private Bank, partner sponsors, Buckingham Advisors and Fifth Third Bank, and supporting sponsors, Beezer Greer, the Cornell Nicholson team of UBS Financial Services, Ubel, Brady and Setman, Asset Management, Flegel, Huber Flegel, James Investment Research, Johnson Investment Council, Key Bank, Marsh and McLennan Agency, and Morgan Stanley. And our media partners, Cox First Media and Cox Media. Thank you for all that you do for the Dayton Foundation and for the greater Dayton community.
Sharing a few thoughts with us is the Regional President for PNC, Dave Mellon.
Hi, I'm Dave Mellon, Regional President with PNC Bank in the Dayton market. PNC and the Dayton Foundation have a rich history together that spans over 100 years. Our partnership started at the Dayton Foundation as one of the original trust organizations, then Merchants National Bank, now part of PNC. Together, we have seen our community grow and thrive through all kinds of market conditions. The Dayton Foundation has played a pivotal role in providing a vehicle for giving for all members of our community. No dollar is too small, no need is not necessary. In its simplest form, it's people helping people. That's what Dayton and PNC are all about. PNC's business model is rooted in the community. We understand the value of investing in programs that our community needs, like Grow Up Great, focused in on high-quality early childhood education, or creating greater access to a vibrant arts community through the PNC Arts Annex with Dayton Live. And our most recent support of the revitalization of the arcade through the Hub, powered by PNC in partnership with the University of Dayton and the Entrepreneur Center. We honor the Dayton Foundation's 100 years of accomplishments in our community, and we thank the communities for all its support. We're excited about this 100-year celebration and seeing the Dayton Foundation's continued investment grow in our region.
Gifts like these from our valued corporate partners are vital to the success of the foundation and to many area nonprofits. We so appreciate their commitment to the well-being of our community now and into the future.
Our second donor story features David James. David not only is a generous donor and volunteer for Four Paws for Ability, he's also a client after receiving his service dog, Clancy. For 22 years, Four Paws for Ability in Xenia has been providing service dogs to children and veterans with disabilities worldwide. And the results have been miraculous, from putting joy and independence back into the lives of families to literally saving the lives of children.
Well, hi, I'm David James, and I am a proud partner here with my good friend Clancy, and I'll tell you about our story. I'm a diabetic, but I was not what you would call a good diabetic, meaning I would not always check my blood sugar levels as often as I should. One of my coworkers, she said, Dave, these are the most wonderful dogs. You really need to see if you can't get one of the service dogs from Four Paws and see if they can't help you out. One of the things that I really like about Four Paws is that they try to make sure that they're setting you up and their dogs up with a good match. I've always been used to big dogs like German Shepherds and Akitas, and they said, oh, well, if you're looking for a diabetic dog, that's almost always going to be a Papillon. What's a Papillon? And Clancy here is a Papillon. He's about 6.5 pounds of fighting weight. He is a wonderful, alert dog. As far as telling me about my blood sugars and the like, these dogs are just amazing in what they do. I know a number of the people that were in my class, their kids had seizures, and they would go home at night and basically have to sleep on the floor next to their kid because they never knew when their kid was going to have a seizure. And now all of a sudden, here's a dog that was telling them in advance, usually several hours in advance, hey, your kid is going to have a seizure now. So they knew at night, if the dog was not signaling, I can sleep tonight. There's no amount of money that can really give you the reassurance that having that dog does. A lot of the kids have issues with socialization, that they just don't feel comfortable going out, or people don't come up to them and want to talk to them. And when all of a sudden you have a dog on your hands, people want to become your friends. I really wanted to get involved as far as trying to help them out as best as I could, financially as well as with my time and efforts. And I'm very grateful for the folks at the Dayton Foundation, just wonderful folks to deal with. When it was time for me to try to set up the foundation, I knew I wanted to go through the Dayton Foundation. And again, it has been my pleasure to work with them. They've made it very easy for me to make sure that the money that I have gets gifted to Four Paws, so that again, you know, wonderful dogs like Clancy and the other dogs that are around here that you'll see, that they get that chance to really make a difference in this world. Again, for all of that, I'm so thankful and glad to be a part of the Dayton Foundation in that small way, and very glad to be a part of the Four Paws family.
It's so heartwarming to see the love, companionship, and independence a child receives from a service dog. Thank you to David James for allowing us to share his story, and to all of the families, staff, and volunteers of Four Paws for Ability.
Fulfilling our donors' unique charitable dreams is what drives the work of the Dayton Foundation. As James mentioned earlier, nearly 4,000 charitable funds have been created through the Dayton Foundation since its establishment 100 years ago. And thanks to these caring and generous individuals, I'm so pleased to announce that more than $1 billion in grants has been awarded from these funds since our founding, helping organizations provide vital services in Greater Dayton, across the nation, and around the world. This is absolutely outstanding. We're so pleased to have been a part of this accomplishment and helped play a role in these much-needed gifts. Thank you.
We're delighted to share this news with all of you, even if it's through your computer screen or mobile device. Reaching this grant-making milestone is the result of inspired donors who follow their passions to make a difference through every grant award. Thank you.
That is wonderful news, Mike and Marva, and congratulations on surpassing the $1 billion grant-making milestone.
For our next feature story, we'd like to introduce Ronnie Redd, president of the African American Community Fund. A component fund of the Dayton Foundation, established in 1992, AACF has become an umbrella to more than 200 charitable funds established by local African Americans. Now a national model for giving in the Black community, AACF supports causes that uplift and advance the interest of African Americans, such as support for historically Black colleges and universities, sickle cell awareness, nutrition programs for homeless children, and mentoring programs for youth.
We are a people from all over the map, churches, nonprofit organizations, and individuals. AACF is an idea whose time has come. I'm a believer that we African Americans can do this ourselves. Hi, I'm Ronnie Redd, president of the African American Community Fund, and the words you've just heard are the words of AACF's late co-founder, Lloyd E. Lewis Jr. He and co-founder John E. Moore Sr. established the African American Community Fund through the Dayton Foundation in 1992 because they believed in the rich and generous spirit of giving that existed within the African American community. Mr. Lewis and Mr. Moore knew that it was time for us to come together to build a place where African Americans could support the causes that we cared about within our community. 28 years later, AACF donors are going strong with more than 200 current and deferred funds totaling nearly $7 million in assets. Together, they are using philanthropy to support our historically Black colleges and universities by providing scholarships to students who choose to attend them. Additionally, AACF is keeping history alive with funds like the Golden 13 Naval Scholarship Fund, a fund honoring the first African American naval officers, which today is opening more doors for students to participate in JROTC and naval fields. And funds like the Thurza Fraser Swagger Scholarship Fund, which honors the legacy of one of the first African American women to receive a PhD in mathematics, and today provides support to women looking to follow in her footsteps by studying in the fields of mathematics. On behalf of the AACF, we're grateful to the Dayton Foundation for making a seat at the table to build up our part of this story and strengthen our community by providing a place where the potential of willing and passionate donors meet impact in our communities. Today, we invite you to experience the fruit of the seeds of AACF donors have planted this past century along with the help of the Dayton Foundation. With no further ado, listen to the powerful harmonies of CSU Chorus, an HBCU supported by many of AACF's funds. Later, hear from a scholarship recipient of AACF's single largest donor to date, Pearl Dale of the Pearl A. Dale and Audrey Parker Scholarship Fund. When establishing her fund through AACF, Ms. Dale shared in a personal letter that it was her hope that her gift will help in a small way to alleviate the problems she and her family faced to get an education in the early 1930s. Here to stand as an example of Pearl's wish come true is Eliza Strother. But first, CSU Chorus, take it away.
I'm gonna wait on the Lord, I'm gonna wait on the Lord, I'm gonna wait on the Lord till He comes. It may be night or noon, yes, but I know He's coming soon. I'm gonna wait on the Lord till He comes, till He comes, till He comes, till He comes. I know my road will fit me well. I know He's coming soon. I've tried it on in the gates of hell. I know He's coming soon. Before I'd stay in hell one day. I know He's coming soon. I'll sing and burn myself away. I know He's coming soon. Yes, I know He's coming. I know He's coming soon. I'm gonna wait on the Lord. I'm gonna wait on the Lord. I'm gonna wait on the Lord till He comes. It may be night or noon, yes, but I know He's coming soon. I'm gonna wait on the Lord till He comes, till He comes, till He comes, till He comes. I've never been to heaven, but I've been told the streets up there are made with gold. When I get to heaven, gonna sing and shout, hallelujah, nobody turn me out. Gonna wait on the Lord, wait on the Lord, gonna wait on the Lord till He comes. Yes, it may be night or noon, yes, but I know He's coming soon. I'm gonna wait. For judgment day, gonna get on your knees and begin to pray. Gonna wait. Send it to the other side, but you might as well know that you can't hide. Gonna wait on the Lord till the sun don't shine, cause I know God's heaven is gonna be mine. Gonna wait on the Lord, till He comes, till He comes, till He comes.
Hello, my name is Eliza Schroeder Cummings, graduate of Northern Illinois University and a senior systems engineer for Innova International Incorporated. Upon graduating from high school in 2012, I was blessed to be the recipient of the Pearl A. Dale and Audrey Parker Scholarship from the African American Community Fund of the Dayton Foundation. There is nothing more satisfying than to turn your dream or vision into something tangible, and that is exactly what this scholarship has allowed me to do. Pearl Dale's purpose in establishing this fund was to ensure that little Black boys and girls wouldn't have to experience the struggles she experienced when attending school in the 1930s. I am so thankful to make both of her dreams and mine a reality. After being told no so many times, or that I wasn't cut out for the goals I had in mind, this scholarship was the constant reminder that someone told me yes. Sometimes, all we need is one yes to continue to push through until you reach the finish line. I remember being in my computer science courses throughout college and being the only person who looked like me. That was a reminder in itself that the only reason I was here was because someone believed in me enough to provide a financial opportunity to be in that room. Even when my professor in my third year of college tried to explain to me that I wasn't really cut out to be an engineer, my scholarship was all that I needed to motivate me to keep pushing. The Pearl Dale and Audrey Parker Scholarship was established in 1990, and here I am today, 30 years later, continuing to reap the benefits of it. Thank you, Pearl Dale and Audrey Parker, for allowing me to be your wildest dream. Thank you to the African American Community Fund for keeping the dream alive. And a big congratulations to the Dayton Foundation for an amazing 100 years of helping others.
The Dayton Foundation is so proud to support the work of the African American Community Fund. Thank you, Ronnie, and the entire AACF board for your commitment to the nurturing of more than 25 years of giving within our African American community.
Also, a big thank you to the Central State University Choir for their inspiring performance. Now, Marv and I have one more very special announcement to share with you in celebration of the Foundation's 100th anniversary.
Over the next 10 months, 100 of the Dayton Foundation's family of fund holders will be making special one-time gifts to the charities of their choice in honor of our Centennial celebration. These 100 gifts to the community will support a variety of community efforts, from homelessness and hunger to education and the arts. Gift amounts will range from $1,000 to more than $100,000.
Thanks to our partners at Cox First Media and Cox Media, we'll be announcing each gift during WHIO's News Center 7 at noon broadcast starting Tuesday, December 1st and continuing on alternating weekdays through next September. We hope you will tune in to hear these announcements and watch the stories of how our donors and their selected nonprofits are at work in our community.
Our last segment features Virginia Toolman, whose family has quite a history in the region. Her father-in-law, Harry Toolman Sr., was a Springfield attorney who secured and defended the patents for the Wright brothers flying machine in the early 1900s.
And upon Virginia's passing in 2010, she gifted to the Dayton Foundation its single largest gift to establish an endowed charitable fund. She left no strings attached for how grants would be awarded from her fund. She and other donors like her trusted the Foundation's board to use her fund's income to best meet the needs of the community at any given time.
Well, I had the privilege of working with Mrs. Virginia Toolman for many years through my job at Key Private Bank.
She came from St. Louis, and Dayton became her home, and she immediately got involved in the community.
She was a nurse by trade, and that passion of the nursing came through all the time in everything she did, whether it was running the business that she ran, Central Pharmaceuticals, or whether it was working on the many boards that she was on. She set up a fund at the Dayton Foundation, the Harry and Virginia Toolman Fund, and she made it very clear that this was a fund for both of them, that the two of them lived their life here together and we're able to enjoy the benefits and fruits of the Dayton community.
She set up this unrestricted fund and wanted to have the Dayton Foundation make the decisions how to best use her fund to help the community.
Virginia wanted to have the Dayton community enjoy the benefit of a long-term endowment. She provided this upon her death. Fortunately, the fund benefits the whole community every year. Each year, it provides nearly $1 million to benefit Dayton Performing Arts Alliance, Human Race Theater, and Dayton Children's Hospital and Hospice, just to name a few.
She was just lovely, and everyone who knew her thought that.
She wasn't just a client to us, she was definitely a person that we loved to be around all the time.
Virginia would be so delighted to know what has happened with her fund at the Dayton Foundation. I think it's everything she imagined and more.
Thank you, Jan and Kevin, for being a part of our program today and for sharing your memories of Virginia. She was truly a remarkable woman and philanthropist with an extraordinarily kind and generous nature.
And to all of you who have tuned in to watch our virtual kickoff to the Dayton Foundation's Centennial celebration, thank you. We've enjoyed sharing these wonderful stories of your fellow community members and announcing the 100 gifts to the community starting December 1st.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Here's to the next 100 years.
Thank you, Marva and Mike, for your leadership and service to the greater Dayton community. If you would like to watch this program again, or perhaps share it with a family member or friend, visit the Dayton Foundation's website or the Facebook page.
And congratulations to the Dayton Foundation on their 100th anniversary. Be sure to tune into WHIL's News Center 7 at noon in the coming weeks and months for the 100 Gifts to the Community announcements. And on behalf of Megan and myself, thanks for watching, and please take care.